All right, friends, Zig coming in at the top of the interview. Today I have with me Corey Dreamer. Now, Corey's a multi-talented character. He's a writer, a ventriloquist, a bit of a musician. He's got a social media presence, got a YouTube channel called Corey Dreamer, and he does nothing but spread positive messages and shares bits of his life in this real, honest way that you don't really see with YouTube channels. Corey talks openly about depression and anxiety and brings awareness to these issues, normalizing it. And we need more people like Corey. We need more people spreading positive things. The internet doesn't like to do that. The internet likes to have us fight with each other. This is a breath of fresh air. And this is my conversation with Corey Dreamer. If you guys can like, subscribe, comment, rate, review the podcast on any of the podcasting platforms, Spotify or Apple. We just started YouTube, so if you can hit the subscribe button, it'd be greatly appreciated. And check this out. This is Corey Dreamer. Terry Ray. All right, so we'll jump right into it. We're doing the Zig At The Gig podcast, and I'm hanging out with Corey Dreamer. Corey, how you been, man?
Oh, I've had a good Christmas beginning.
Yeah?
Thanksgiving was a bummer because I had COVID.
Yeah? Really?
Yep, I had COVID. My mom's boyfriend met a friend who...
Oh, no.
Yeah, and then she's been taking care of Gino, and he sadly got sent to the hospital. He's doing better now. Much better than he was with Thanksgiving. Oh my gosh, it was terrible.
It sounds terrible.
I'm like, for my mom, and she got COVID, and then I got COVID like a week or two later.
Oh, man.
So I've been just...
I was going to say, that's definitely a bummer of a Thanksgiving. How are you feeling now? Was it like when you got it, was it like strong symptoms, or was it not as bad?
It wasn't as bad, but have you ever heard, you know what pneumonia is like, right?
Yeah, it was like that.
And how it made me feel like I was having that. I felt like I was having pneumonia all over again. I had pneumonia growing up as a kid.
Yeah.
So, being that boy who grew up being sick a lot. So I just was sick as a puppy, and all I did to keep myself social distancing while quarantine was playing on my Nintendo Switch, playing Fortnite with others.
Nice.
But with this whole thing going on, I've began to do ventriloquism because of the whole lockdown that happened in April.
Yeah.
I felt so isolated. Not many of my family members answered any of my calls, and I just felt so lonely. So I just finally took the courage and asked my mom, I want a ventriloquist dummy. So she bought it for me for a Halloween present. And I've been doing ventriloquism ever since.
That's awesome. I saw on your YouTube channel, which I want to get into, I saw you were posting some videos with that, with the ventriloquist dummy, and like that's it's a hard skill to obtain, to do the talking without moving your mouth. It's not an easy thing to do. So as far as like a quarantine skill to start to build, no better time to do it, because that requires a lot of practice.
Oh, I know. I looked up other ventriloquists and I saw this other girl who, thanks to the lockdown, couldn't do any of her dancing, couldn't perform anymore. So she began ventriloquism. I mean, I can't even sing like Darcy Lynn.
Was it? Well,
you know who Darcy Lynn is?
I'm not familiar. I don't think anyone. I feel when it comes to singing like anyone in particular, only that person has that voice, But I'm not familiar with her, no.
Oh, you don't pay attention to AGT?
Not yet. What is it?
America's Got Talent.
Oh,
seriously.
okay. I wasn't hip to the lingo. All right, yeah, I was watching some of that last year, and
Hmm.
I'd catch it every once in a while, and it was always you get to that point at the end where they bring up the person who wins, and it always tears you up. It's one of those shows. It's goody, but I wasn't familiar with her. So was she like a carryover from like I think I watched mid season. Was she the younger girl?
Uh, yeah, she was a younger girl who won AGT for singing with the rabbit
Okay,
and a mouse.
that sounds awesome. But
But
yeah,
I actually got my inspiration to do ventriloquism actually when my uncles introduced Jeff Dunham
oh
to
okay.
the family on a Thanksgiving vacation. Um, and I just got into him. And I just wanted to. I don't know if I wanted to do ventriloquism, but I always admired what he did, how he performed. I love Peanut. I think that's how I got into ventriloquism was because Peanut was a lot like people like us, people who are outcasts, who are just zingy and weird and um, you know,
Yeah, but Peanut's a staple of the act, man.
yeah.
Jeff Dunham did. I like what he did was really cool because he took like the stand up comedy realm with the puppets or with the and combined it with the ventriloquism. Like in yeah, they're always tied together. You know what I mean? Ventriloquist acts are usually comedical, but his delivery of it kind of fit that mold of like outside enough regular comedy and inside enough, that because when he plays shows, he sells out stadiums. And I don't think there's been a
Oh,
ventriloquist
I
that's
know,
been
and
bigger than Jeff. So he definitely brought a light to it and a new, like a fresh perspective on how that art can hit the masses, unlike before. There was a really his last special was really cool because he did the like a I think
is that the central comedy, social distancing?
oh I haven't seen the social distant one. No, this was a one that came out on Netflix a while like last year, and he did like
Oh, okay.
a
Oh, I
f-
saw that one. I saw all the ones on Netflix. I yeah,
well, and I also saw you were working on some harmonica playing too. Was that a quarantine
yeah.
skill or was that like something you were working on
No,
before?
I actually began doing harmonica when I was 10 years old.
Oh, awesome.
Um, yeah, I guess I got inspired by this Cartoon Network show that had like it was about a black uh, uh, singer who began to teach children how to do music. And I don't know, I just took to it the idea of playing the harmonica. And because that was one of the things that he taught the kids was harmonica. And I don't know, I saw it and I thought, I have asthma. And
Mm.
so I saw it as a way to, work on my asthma, work on my breathing. It became more of a way to help get the crap out
Yeah.
of because people with asthma always have junk in their throats. Um, so I took to it as, a way to help me breathe more, you know.
Yeah. Did it help?
Oh, absolutely. It got a lot of the junk out. I cough a lot.
Yeah.
Got all the crap out because like the more I kept breathing in and out through the harmonica, the more the junk came out.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, it definitely does because was I play harmonica too, and like when you're trying to do a scale, like when you're doing like a straight major scale with a harmonica, you gotta focus. Like you gotta focus your mouth on the one hole, right? And you're breathing in and out of one hole, which is precise. And your everything that's going into it is like it takes forever to get because you got to learn to control your lips and your breathing. So that makes sense that by focusing your breathing on a precise point, that would help clear out your throat. And it's a fun way to do it too. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Do you dabble with any other instruments?
Nope.
Nope. Harmonica's a good one, man. Everyone can use a harmonica player.
Yeah. Too bad I'm not going out for walks anymore.
Yeah. So I mean, have you got a negative or no? Have you got a negative test from the COVID thing yet? Or are you just are you all clear of it? Or are you still working through it?
I'm very much 15 days past of it.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Man, that sucks.
oh my gosh. My mom looked at me and said, Corey, you've had the very smallest amount of, because even though you had COVID, you were still a little upbeat. You didn't let it get you down. You were just not having it as bad as everyone else.
Well, that positive mindset definitely, I think it definitely has a thing with health. I definitely think that benefits health to some degree, is being upbeat about it. And when you hit me up on Instagram to do this interview, I started checking out your page, and I was like, oh, he likes comics. This is cool. We can talk about that. And then I went to your YouTube channel, and that's all it is positive stuff. And I'm like, I gotta talk to Corey. Like, man, like with positive stuff on the internet, I'm sure you've noticed it. It doesn't get as much hype as it should. It doesn't get as much attention, and I don't know if that's the algorithms on programs that know people interact with negative stuff more, but we need more positive stuff. And everything on your channel was so upbeat, and it was awesome. So I'm really glad you reached out to me, and we're doing this right now. But what brought you to doing YouTube as a medium? What brought this message? What came to you that you had to share this positive message? I can't talk today because I'm glad you are.
Well, I don't know if you like her anymore because of the recent stuff that got out this year. But years ago, I watched Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah.
And I loved her in 2012. There was an interview of a girl named Talia Joyce. And she did YouTube, and she had cancer. And I was like, and I've been trying to make a difference for years. I used to do anti-bullying club. I used to go out volunteer at works that my mom used to do. She worked in a facility for people with disabilities, a school for people with mental illness and disabilities. And I used to help out, volunteer. She used to bring me over, volunteer and stuff. And it helped me because growing up as a kid who was just born with 24 surgeries. Wow. I mean, I even have a news article of me called Corey Conway, another name for miracle. I was just a born... Yeah.
That's intense.
Yeah, I was born with 12 surgery, major operations in 1994, and then for 15 years, I'm reading you a little bit of what my mom said. Has worked in the mental health medical field, and it was just very hard for me to see this when you're older, and so imagining it that you're this boy who you see yourself in the Akron Beacon Journal, Um, I still have the newspaper. That's actually why I wanted to do the video. Was because I wanted to show you the little news article that my parents kept showing me as a kid.
Yeah, I saw you posted, or yesterday. You posted something about there's an article that changed your life, and that's the article.
Yeah, but wrapping it around my mind, I just thought I was a Frankenstein monster because I couldn't. I mean, how can you wrap your mind around the idea that you went through these surgeries?
Definitely.
So that's why I got sick for many years. Growing up, I got sick. I was the boy who was sick a lot. Missed a lot of social. I miss a lot. So a lot of this social media idea of me doing YouTube was also for me to say, hey, I got to get out somehow.
Yeah.
I I just felt like being an outcast, so I didn't want to keep hiding it. And I still wanted to make a difference, help people, whatever I could do. And so I picked YouTube, and YouTube has been a really upbeat outbringing in my life lately with this whole YouTube thing, and me talking about awarenesses and causes on my channel, me giving outputs of or my opinions on issues that are brought up, whatever it is, and that's why I do my YouTube channel for
Well,
those reasons.
it's awesome because the messages you shoot out of YouTube are so upbeat and you bring awareness to all these issues. And I love how personal it is because you got some ventriloquist videos and some harmonica. It's not just like they're real. It's just you with a camera. It's not like a high production, but what it is, the message is a high production. And I think that's what makes it so valuable. And I'm so glad that you're doing it. And man, it's been bumping too. I was looking at your page, and some of your videos they got tons of views, man. So you're doing the right thing, and that's so exciting because normally when I come across cool, positive things, it doesn't get that amount of attention. So to see something that is so awesome.
Yeah, I didn't think you would get this upbeat or this amount of attention, but it has, and I love playing video games, so I of course incorporated a little bit of not just live streaming, but doing YouTube videos, doing stories in my own ways, editing videos of video gaming and mashing into like fan fiction.
That's awesome.
Storytelling. Yeah, I started that years ago, and I figured out how to do it from my PlayStation, which is why I am no longer doing that anymore because my PlayStation 4. Oh boy, like a month ago, before the PlayStation 5 comes out,
Yeah.
my PS4 blew a fuse. It died. So that's why you haven't seen me do video gaming lately.
Gotcha.
Because I'm now doing it straight from my Nintendo Switch.
Which is a different I guess as far as editing clips from it and put it on YouTube, that has to take a minute. Like just doing audio files with a picture, which is or music videos, which is what I put out, like that takes forever. So the convert video game graphic into a storyline, which is enough editing by itself, and then put it out. That's got to be a challenging task or arduous task to get through.
The PlayStation actually gave us this thing called Share Factory, and it was our own editing. Yeah, it was our own editing clip way that we can record and whatever. So that's how I did it.
Gotcha. That makes it way easier then. I've been following I forget. I think it's Team Four Star. They do these Dragon Ball. They take clips from the new. I forget what the new Dragon Ball game is, and they make these comedic skits out of it. And I'm always like, man, that has to take forever to line up all the jokes and everything, and then put it out. But they could be doing that same thing.
Fortnite actually does that a lot too. There's a lot of people who play Fortnite and they edit their own stories, and I've been playing Fortnite. If you've been, I guess you've been following my YouTube channel, so I guess you noticed that I have been doing Fortnite lately because of COVID.
Yeah. And they just did that Marvel thing, Fortnite.
Oh my gosh, I loved it. I was like, I bought the whole entire season pack.
Nice.
Right off the day, and so I have all the Marvel heroes. I unlocked Wolverine. I unlocked all the Groot, Captain America, which he came out in July 4th, which was like a couple of months before the Marvel event, but that was because of 4th of July. And then, of course, I unlocked a lot of the other Marvel characters that came out. So yeah, and I.
You seem to be a Marvel guy. I was looking through your Instagram and saw all the comics you were posting. Initially, that's what you responded to was the Ninja Turtle clip I posted with Kevin Eastman. So how far? Because you also have been writing these scripts and writing these stories. How far back does comics go for you?
Oh boy, I think it started in animated series actually.
Yeah.
Spider-Man, the 1994 one.
Oh yeah, yeah. I watched that.
And then Batman the animated series, because I love detective. I love detective novels. I grew up loving mystery novels. I used to grab a whole bunch of books that were mystery and read at least 5 of them. And going to the Brecksville Broadview Heights library, my mom used to take me as a kid. So Batman was one of my kind of superheroes, and Spider-Man, him being such a normal kid, who's an outcast, But I love now I love Miles Morales, the Spider-Man that came out. I love him as a character too, because he has family issues. He has a lot of family drama. And I grew up with a little bit of that too, with my, issues with my dad.
Yeah.
But my dad and me were pretty good. But still,
that's awesome.
Miles Morales has that representation. Even though he's African American Latino, I still can relate to him in that way, because in the comics he has a lot of that father struggle.
Yeah. That's one thing with Marvel. They really hit home making these characters relatable and not just like, they saved the day. It's like all these inner issues that a lot of people go through and a lot of people relate to, which makes those characters stick out more. And that is at least the new run featuring Miles, not that the Peter Parker run or past runs featuring Peter Parker haven't hit family issues, but there's something with how they're like sharing Miles' story that I can see how the father son issue rings a little stronger and is more relatable. And even in the new film with the Spider Universe, the absence of him and the whole uncle thing, not to spoil it if anyone listens, but I'm picking up where you're coming from with that.
Yeah. I sort of have a little bit of family drama even right now with this whole COVID-19 thing, feeling a little distant from family.
Yeah.
Because of, whatever, because this whole social distancing. I think a lot of people can understand that, where I'm coming from with this, hopefully. So
Definitely. Even if you're in a house with your core family, like when you're going through what you went through, and you have to, like, I don't know, bunker down to a room and try to make 15 days go by quick, which they don't, and feel okay. And, like, I'm glad to hear that you went through it upbeat, because that brings everyone else up. Once you have one person who's positive, usually that's infectious, and that spreads, and that's why what you're doing is so important. But when you're in that situation, it's hard to maintain that, and, like, especially when you feel not so hot, and, like, I don't know, I understand with the my family, we all kind of go, everyone goes to their own spot, does their own thing. There you go. Are you here?
right, that's how it is with me.
And, like, which is cool, because everyone has their own things they're interested in and their own skills they're trying to craft, and that's a perfect time to do that. But when you don't get that social interaction, even in home, it's kind of like, I need to talk to somebody about something. And then you start a podcast or a YouTube channel and you start reaching out to people, and then this happens. So maybe it's all not so bad, but it's definitely not the same, because the YouTube video ends and the podcast ends, and but yeah, it's definitely rough, man. It's rough.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm glad you're taking it serious. Some people aren't. Some people are, like, going out without the mask and not really caring.
Oh my gosh, my mom and I. We went out, just out down south for a little trip, because we couldn't go to Walt Disney World because of COVID.
Yeah.
We had rescheduled for next year. But we went down south. This part, nobody was wearing masks. And we were like, let's get the hell out of here. We felt like we were in Children of the Cornfield.
Children of the maskless field.
Yeah, literally. And we went to this Amish part of the south part that my mom and I visited, and it was just completely COVID proof. Everyone was wearing masks.
Wow.
Everyone was cleaning. It was like, we're no longer in Kansas anymore, Dorothy.
And that's the thing. It's just wearing a mask. It's not invasive. You're doing it for the person next to you, and or you put it on when they're not comfortable, and it's not that big a deal. And I don't get why that's such a debate. I know it's
Me neither. It's so silly, and so, like, I can't believe even one of my uncles doesn't believe in is a debater on this mask wearing deal. And it's like, seriously, it's because people aren't. I mean, that's why it has to be mandated to wear masks. Because the more you do it, the more, the less the COVID stuff is spreading. I mean,
and the less you're getting it, you know what I mean? The less it's spreading, and the less you're getting it, and it's an easy thing to do. It's an easy fix around, as opposed to shutting everything down, which may or may not happen again here. But
and I started my. I have to be honest with you. One of the reasons I started my ventriloquism is because I wanted a job.
Yeah.
I don't know if you pay attention to the end, but there's always that saying of me. There's a link in the description.
Yeah.
I have my own Patreon account. I have my own, because I don't have a job, because with all these jobs going out of business. I mean, I had a job last year, and my job hit a landslide last year. So
what were you doing?
I had to quit. It was for people with medical challenges to get a job, to feel like they're working, whatever. We would go out to bars and clean out things, and
gotcha.
so
Was it
But
cool?
sadly, it was good. But then a case opened up, and
Mm, that's one. Yeah.
people started quitting. People started leaving. Um, and I had to leave.
Yeah.
So uh, it's been hard getting a job with this COVID stuff. So that's why I do ventriloquism. That's why I opened my own Patreon account business and did this whole ventriloquism thing because I wanted to feel like I have a job.
Yeah.
That's one of the small reasons.
It's interesting because now with like how you're saying, all these jobs are going out or all these opportunities aren't there. Like you can't. In my case, I can't go out and play gigs because no one's there. You can't. The bar can't afford to have you. You don't want to be in the bar doing the thing. Um, but it brings out all these new opportunities you wouldn't have thought to do. Like even to gain the new skill of ventriloquism, and then to like do it in a way where now it's like it's weird how people do that, right? Like we all gotta kind of do a daily thing and do like a job-esque thing even when we don't have one. It's like a natural thing that we do. And like but because of the shutdown, there's all these COVID or open up whatever, because of the climate of COVID, there's all these COVID corners that we can work around. And it kind of makes certain things that before would have seemed not cool or not like a awesome thing, and now makes them seem like a great, amazing new thing. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
I've been doing so I'm a teacher, and for our graduations, right, we did this thing where we put our, me and the principal, of the old vice principal, who played drums, and a buddy, we went on this trailer and went around and played Schools Out in front of all the graduates. Not a big deal. No one would have agreed to my crazy idea prior,
What grade are you
uh,
for a teacher?
pre-K to senior high. I work at a charter school teaching music, so it's kind of everywhere. Now it's a little different because before I would go to 3 different buildings. Now I just go to one. So now it's kind of like elementary to high school, but
Mm-hmm.
and like it's weird because a lot of it's streaming into the class and pushing the instruments to the room, you know. But there's these things that are now exciting and new, like streaming prior COVID. No one would have really cared too much or tuned in, and like I think it leads to some cool opportunities that can be had, and like because of the amount of time people have and are looking for the same outlets themselves, it leads to like ways to reach out to people you may have not have been able to before, which is why that Kevin
Mm-hmm.
Eastman interview happened. You know what I mean? Like, just it's exciting and awful at the same time.
Yep.
Was it kind of going back to the YouTube channel, or maybe it was on your Facebook. I can't remember where I read it, but you're writing scripts. It is on your YouTube. It's on that too. You're writing scripts, and you're writing stories and comic stories, and like, do you want to get into that at all? I don't know if you want to like. You don't have to share like.
I'm working on publishing my stories, actually.
Yeah.
I've been writing also, which has helped cope with this whole thing. But it's also made me helped me. It's gotten me to struggle because I'm not going out as
Yeah.
much. So, there's that, limitation of creativity where you
I definitely
aren't
feel
getting
that.
as much creative juices when you're stuck in the house.
Yeah.
And I don't live with my mom. I live in this group home, support independent living
Yeah.
group home, guys who with medical conditions, because I have medical conditions.
Yeah.
And so I am stuck in the house, I'm writing, I'm trying to maneuver when the guys are doing their things, and because when I'm like a guy who wants peace and quiet, so that's why I have my headphones. That's why I'm working on, you know, trying to get my TV to do it wirelessly to the headphones. Trying to watch movies while writing. That's kind of what I do. Is I read a comic for how longer I have, and then I start writing my stories while watching something that is um, relatable to what I'm writing,
Gotcha.
if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
like, if I'm writing an outer space story, then I'll watch like something like Guardians of the Galaxy or Star Wars. If I'm if I'm writing a Christmas story, then I'll watch something Christmassy. Um, just something. Because with COVID, there's now a whole bunch of movies streaming on going to streams now,
Yeah.
and I'm really glad that I get to use Disney Plus. I use Netflix, Hulu.
Yeah, it's endless. Like there's so many films you can draw influence from. And it's interesting with writers. I've noticed or just recently I've kind of been digging in, and it kind of goes to the Kevin Eastman interview. He'll do the same thing. He'll watch movies and then draw, or watch movies and write scripts. And like same with
For me, it's not just movies; it's sometimes TV shows. Also, I'll watch like a TV show that's
well, yeah, yeah, yeah.
relatable, like just
It could be like any. I think Kevin was talking about like the Matrix, and I was reading something about Akira Toriyama, the guy who did Dragon Ball. He'd watch Jackie Chan movies while he did. That was his kind of go-to, which makes a lot of sense with that show. But like it's interesting because like with writing, like what brings that muse and puts people in that zone, and you would think a film going on would distract you from it, but and now the three people that I know that write things are like or I shouldn't say I know, but three people I've come across. I know you, but I don't know the other two that well. But use that method of playing something in the background and going into their own.
mm-hmm.
Is there any reason like
It's kind of like getting into character.
okay?
I think that's a good way of putting it. It kind of gives us, or gives me at least, a level of, if I have a writer's block, or in case if I, want to write something in a way that is, what I'm writing, I'll watch, and it kind of gives me an insight of, okay, what to write and how to write it.
Yeah,
If I'm writing a detective story, then I'll watch like Sherlock Holmes, or if I'm watching, or if I'm writing like a galactic story, like I told you before, I'll watch like a Star Wars, or something Marvel, because there's Guardians of the Galaxy. Or if I'm watching something detective, writing.
yeah.
If I'm writing something detective, then I'll watch a detective movie, a detective story. Like, I don't know.
No, it makes sense. Like it puts you in the universe or in the mind of where you can adapt your own to what is kind of already been out there. How often do you write? Do you have like a routine, like every day we're going to do this, or every couple days, or is it when you're inspired?
I guess kind of inspired. I mean, I think that's a way of putting it.
That makes sense.
I do it like, I don't, I just do it whenever. Um, I do it like either in the morning when I'm waking up, or at night
Yeah.
because, that's a better mindset at night sometimes for me because mornings or days are kind of like, whatever. But when it's nighttime, it's just completely quiet. Sometimes it's just
Way easier for the focus, especially in like a group home where everyone's doing their own thing. That's gotta be some living challenges with that. But especially if you're trying to focus on a skill like ventriloquism or writing, like when you need to focus and be really in the moment with it. If someone's doing something noisy or I don't know, I can see where that'd be very frustrating. But to kind of so when you're looking at it, and it's weird at night. A lot of people are more creative at night. Like I get a bunch of ideas, and I don't know. It's like when you
and I can sleep.
Yeah, yeah, and
it makes you sleepy.
Yeah,
like I would write for how many hours, and then like minutes later, I'll just fall asleep. Like I just feel so tired. Like
it's hyper focused writing and putting your ideas out, especially on paper, because it's not just enjoying them or partaking them or playing them. You're structurally putting it out, and you got to think of every word. Like, which doesn't seem like that big a deal, but when it makes sense that it would wear you out, like, especially if you start late.
Yeah.
So in the grand scheme of it, are you looking like maybe at 2 to 3 times a week, 2 to 3 times a month, more than that? If you had to give a not an accurate, but like a summed up guess of how often you're writing.
I guess I write 2 to 3 days.
Oh, okay.
Or
wow.
A week.
That's awesome.
I just love to write. It helps give me something structured to do. It really helps cope with my anxiety and depression, getting it out.
Yeah.
Expressing that energy, whatever bothers me. I mean, to give you an example, with this whole election that was going on.
Yeah.
There was so much anxiety and so much depression.
Definitely.
Going on that I just boiled it into. I don't know if you pay attention to comics or not, but there's these things called superhero events.
Yeah.
Where they make the characters come together, whatever.
Yeah, like a big run event, right? Where it's like I'm trying to think of what the last one was. The one with Thor, War of the Realms.
Oh, War of the Realms. That was yeah, and I write like, however, instead of writing a big book,
yeah,
I do where I put the name of the event and then semicolon and then write like an event or write the title of the character of the story, like the superhero, and then the event name, and then I write like its own story, like giving one's perspective of the character's point of view of it, I guess. Like,
yeah.
Have you ever seen comics that, like, say, like Avengers, War of the Realm, or like how they made like a Venom one called War of the Realms, a little one?
Yeah, like where you got all these side characters and it adds up to the big story, or they're like small things that play into the big story, and your brain's just like, yes.
Right. That's how I do my my superhero event. Is I don't write those big books.
Yeah.
I write those small ones that where it kind of feels like they're collaborating.
Gotcha.
Same thing in the way of an event, but you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, like you're going from one character's perspective, but you're starting there and you're building it into the big thing, which is cool because that makes that one character's perspective feel way more validating than looking at the big thing and being like, well, we gotta tell them something about Spider-Ham. Let's tell them something. You know what I mean? Like, that's cool. And it's rewarding when it all builds up. And the write like that has to be pretty challenging because you got to keep in your mind all these characters and plots and subplots you have in each person's.
Yeah, for me it's fun because I'm a huge comic book nerd, so it's a lot of fun to like putting parentheses reference of da 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 or reference to something
Yeah,
going on. Like I'm writing it like a comic book
that's awesome.
in a way.
That
So
when I see those dots or the reference to the other issue, I'm like, ooh, well, that gets me so bad. I should say, like, I have to find that thing and like go back and do the research. If not, I feel like I'm not getting the story. So but it's so exciting when you do. You're like, that's it.
yep.
Is there any particular writers that led you to want to write like this? Like if you had any comic book writers, like a Jason Aaron guy, or are you Stan Lee? Okay.
Yeah, Marvel.
Just sticking with, okay, gotcha. Well, I mean, he's the big bad, man. He kind of fronted most of them, him and Jack Kirby.
Yeah, I know. It really made me cry when I heard him pass away.
Yeah.
To watch Captain Marvel have that, like, I don't know if you watched Marvel movies, but Captain
Yes,
Marvel.
very much so.
Yeah. And in the Captain Marvel movie, they had that intro of Stan Lee.
Yeah.
Where instead of having all the superheroes be through the Marvel studio intro, they had a whole bunch of Stan Lee cameos.
Yeah.
How they would do the Marvel characters through the Marvel.
Was it? Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, like it was all him, and it was such a bummer. And all the comics that came out had like the Stan's I can't remember the little blurb from Stan Lee from back in the old comics that they would put in the back. They put it on the front, and like it was definitely a bummer because that guy, he made all these characters that resonated, all these like morals and philosophies, and like became like for a lot of people more of a moral compass than like. And because they were relatable characters, maybe than some bigger deities, and like I don't know. So that was definitely a bummer when he passed. And when you see the last cameo,
yeah, I even had my I even created my own like little Stan Lee cameo and made like I guess you could say a memoir of how I felt about him.
That's awesome.
And what he's been for me. In a superhero story I wrote, and because he was such a huge motivation for every writer, I think, who writes superhero novels and writes superhero stories. I think he was just such an inspiration.
Are you working with an artist to animate some of these? Like, do you got any that are ready to be animated?
I work. So I got in touch with this guy through the news called Mike Brown. I think that's his name. And I contacted him, and he was he helped me get contacts of an editor. And so he's the reason I'm getting my stuff out.
That's awesome.
If it wasn't for Mike Thomas, I wouldn't know where to send any of my stuff.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Definitely. No, like I've been trying to figure out how to make like a book for this art gallery I work at, and like I don't know where to go with that. And let alone if you have just a story where they go with that. So it's so awesome that you got this outlet. Do you know when anything's about to drop? When we can crack open any books?
I have no idea. I'm still waiting on hearing from my editor. I just contacted him through Instagram, and he's working now on editing them. I guess you could say that.
Yeah.
And
That's
I yeah, I don't know when we're gonna hear anything. I don't know when I'm gonna hear anything from them, but I'm very thankful that I had someone who knew the work structure of getting your stuff out,
yeah.
and he helped me direct me to who to send it to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, because where do you go with that? You know, like there's when you look into like the credits of a comic book, there's a storyboard, but there's the story, the storyboarder, the inker, the letterer. You know, what I mean, there's all these factors into one comic. It's a production. It's a big production that you don't think about. Usually, like oh, it's Kevin Eastman. He does it all. He's the Ninja Turtle guy. That's how it works. But it's not. It's a complicated process. So like I don't even know where you. My bass player, Coda, he's been coming up with comic ideas with a buddy of his from I can't remember where his buddy's from, but they have these Zoom calls and they storyboard ideas, and like, but you know that's one thing. But where do you go from that? Once you get an idea you're more comfortable with or you're proud of and you want to share, like to take it to the next level is a complicated process, and like, so I totally understand where you wouldn't know where to go. I I have one friend
Yeah.
who made a comic. His name is Johnny Habu, and he made a comic about this band from Japan called The Defacement. And
Mm-hmm.
this guy is on another level, and he does so many things, and I don't know how he does them. Like, he was a musician. He was a comedian for a while. He was a bodybuilder. He was in the Navy. He was in the Marines. He's like, I think does something in the health field now. But he also put out some books, and he put out these comic books. So somehow he was able to find someone that take his storyboard it, and draw it, and put it out. And like that's the only person I've known who's done that. And I guess now the only other person halfway there is you, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that comes out soon. You also you had this pitch to Disney with the story. Did that take off, or where'd that go?
Wait, what?
It was in one of your videos. You had a story that you wanted to pitch to Disney. Did you end up pitching it, or or did it not like did
No,
not make it quite there?
I guess I really wanted to do. I always loved Disney. I even have Disney Plus,
Yeah,
the Hulu bundle. Um, I always loved the idea of what Disney has been doing. So of course I love the idea of of having my stories being animated, into videos or being animated into video games. That's one thing I'd love to see is my comic books have a video games of their own. They got
that'd
the
be sweet.
whole. Yeah, I know. I even loved. I even fanboyed out when I saw the whole Avengers video game or the Spider-Man. I even want the Spider-Man Miles Morales video game because the fact that they incorporated Christmas and the whole holidays, that's a good way to cope with
That is just sick.
movies of the holidays.
Yeah.
Uh,
Was it
so it's really cool.
yeah, and the Spider-Man games, like just the play on them, like they play so cool. It's almost like a weird it's like a cooler Grand Theft Auto. Like with the amount of freedom, amount of stuff you can do in those. But to kind of wrap this up, I appreciate your time and I appreciate you reaching out to me.
Yeah.
Can you and like your whole channel and your whole message is positivity and spreading awareness. Can you kind of, and I know you've gone through a lot of bullying and a lot of health issues and have always persevered, so you've had a lot of negative stuff happen, but you come out positive. As a kind of final question, how important is positivity, and for listeners, what can we do to stay positive, especially in trying times like this?
I guess find a hobby, find something that helps you, exercise all that negativity that you feel. to something positive. Like for me, it's writing, or for me, it's, doing ventriloquism, making it laugh out of some of this negativity that we've felt. Um, through the news outlet, like you've seen a lot of some of the ventriloquism I've done, which is based on the election.
Yeah.
Um,
So
I
find
guess it's a way to find a way to outlet it into a positivity, like my writing, um, my YouTube. I've found a way to help cope it into exercising out all that anxiety and depression that you feel from this negativity that's going on, and exercising into something positive. And I'm
beautiful.
repeating myself, so
Beautiful. No,
I
it's
don't know how to
it
explain it.
makes a lot of sense. There's this Bruce Lee bit from one of his philosophies where you go with the opponent, so you don't fight against it, but you take it and move it to what you want it to be. In this case, taking negative and making it positive. So I think that was beautifully said. Well, awesome, Corey. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I can't wait to see what you're going to come out with next. And when these comics come out, and I can't wait to crack one open and read it and share it. And I'm super
Yeah.
excited. And yeah, man, I appreciate your time.
All right, bye.
All right, later.